So are we actually going to do this? Yeah, we are. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode. I am really excited today because my favorite person in the world is our guest today on the podcast. I'm excited to introduce you to my husband, Jon Jackson.
Hello.
And thanks for showing up today.
I'm here.
My husband and I, Jon, have been married for 20 years this year.
20 years.
We have been together for 23 years. So we just are now getting to know each other really well.
We've been good friends a long time.
Good friends. Yeah. So,
kind of know each other.
Definitely. Yeah. So we wanted to do this episode, and he's going to come on for several episodes in the next few weeks. And this quarter, we have some plans here. But the first one that I really wanted us to come on and do together was to really talk about how to actually support your spouse in business, because we both have been working together since actually when we first got married. We very quickly started together in business. And
a month after we got married.
Really, yeah, we were on the road. We traveled together when he was working full time and as a recruiter. Then we ran a nonprofit together, and we've had a lot of experience of working together in business. Sometimes he was the point and the lead in the CEO position. Currently, I'm in the CEO position, and we for this business, not all the businesses, but we are.
What is your rule? That you're in control.
Yeah. You're in charge and I'm in control. That's our rule.
We have balance down.
Balance, yeah. So we wanted to talk about like how to support your spouse in business, because this comes up quite a bit with the women that I talk to on a weekly basis. Is, man, my husband doesn't understand, or how do I tell him, or how do I communicate to him, or he feels upset, or he doesn't understand. Like that comes up quite a bit. And I just thought, well, if anything, maybe you could send this episode to him with lots of love. Or you could bring up some points to
Be careful how you said that.
Yeah.
The male ego is very fragile.
Very fragile.
This coming from an alpha bodyguard. Yes,
yes,
it's very fragile.
So we're gonna just dive into probably 5 things that really focused support really helps with us, and some of the things that we did to support one another in business. And the first one that really was and is still a game changer is encouraging and motivating each other. To really come beside someone and celebrate their wins and uplift them during their challenges is really important. And when you're growing a business, especially independently, like if you're not fully involved with each other's businesses, or, they don't completely understand what you do, it can be difficult to really show up and encourage them, or to be grateful for them, or just feel like you know what's going on. So you can feel a little bit of frustration when you don't have that support and somebody saying, hey, you're doing a good job. You keep going. Don't give up, because you may not completely understand what they do.
Because we both have worked in different spheres and also together. So when I was in the sales force for so long, one of the things that you did was when I had wins that you didn't even necessarily understand, but you knew it was, whether it was a bonus or it was opening a new location, just some of those things, you came around, you're just the biggest cheerleader. And vice versa, when you were just even getting started out doing the blog and starting out just writing posts. And I'm like, woohoo, there's 100 people liked it today. That's fantastic. Doing some of those little things goes a long way to help understand where people are at. And then you don't get into this game of playing scorecard where you're not combative, like, well, I won today and you won today. If you win, Jon wins.
Yeah.
If Jon wins, you win. It shouldn't be, well, you won and that sucks for me now. We celebrate because we're together. We're doing it together.
Yes. And it can be really hard to sometimes see the wins that the other person is doing, because you're not like participating in everything that they're doing. And sometimes things are just moving at the speed of light, and you have kids. And I mean, we have
6 kids,
whole slew of them.
It feels like 600 at times.
Yeah. So we really wanted to be intentional with encouragement with each other. And this is actually your idea. A few years ago, actually, we've been doing this for probably 4 years now, maybe longer.
It's just something we do in the mornings. Like it's a resetting because we're gonna both be busy during the day, and there's days where I'm gone for 12 hours, and there's days where she's gone, and then we have trips and we have events that are going on, and
And then
then
we
there's
have the
life,
kids and
and then
school and sports
three
and
boys in football, two girls in volleyball. So like we're nonstop running all over the place. So in the morning, just making sure that we spend time talking or texting, depending on how busy it is, just sending simple gratitudes
Mhm.
simple I mean like this morning it was I'm grateful that you are rocking at your business right now. I am grateful that we had dinner together last night, and I'm grateful that we have your little brother and your sister and our niece coming in town. It's like it was just simple little gratitudes, but something that's genuine from me to her, and then she sends three back, and it's just three things that we do every single day. Helps be the encouraging and motivating, helps keep us centered. It reminds us why we're doing the things that we're doing.
And I really love this practice because it really helps us to take a pause and see what the other person is doing and how they're showing up for us. And really being intentional with like showing that I'm grateful that you took care of the kids last night and put
Hmm.
them to bed so that I could take an extra client call or respond to somebody who was in crisis. Or I'm grateful that you brought me coffee when I was feeling sluggish and you could see I was really tired and you showed up for me. Like really being encouraging like that and just coming from a place of gratefulness has been a game changer
Yeah.
practice. If you don't have this just in general as a couple, you should do it.
Yeah. You have to encourage your spouse. It can't just be negatives, and it can't just be, oh, I need this. If you're encouraging, that then breeds motivation because then all of a sudden you have somebody in your corner. Having Lonnie cheer me on is the biggest thing of my day. It's like, oh man, like you're excited that I'm doing something. That's fantastic. It's great. That encouragement helps me be able to do the things that you need to get done. And then whether it's we're on a sales call or I'm doing an analysis of somebody with their business reports, whether I'm doing that and it's totally separate from what you're doing, you coming along and saying, "Hey, here's a Celsius." That's a life changer. It's like,
Yeah, it's a big deal. And it just keeps you in the mindset of seeing one another. And if you hang out with me any amount of time, you know that's a big part of my passion is that I believe that we need to see each other more.
yes.
And there's so much power when you feel seen and when you see other people and that cycle that you start when you start to be intentional with that reflection of like, I see you and you're doing amazing. I see how you're showing up, even when it's hard,
Hmm.
even when it's not rewarding you the way we thought, you're still okay. And that's just super important. And I think if you haven't started a practice like that, and if you don't have a spouse who's reciprocating to this, uh, you can do it on your own
Yep.
and start there.
Start a journal
It's
and just
really
see where it
hard.
goes. Yep.
It's really hard to just be like, here's all the things I'm grateful for, and then silence back.
But
It,
we did this before. Like we said, we had a 30 days that we did at Thanksgiving where we were not just three things that we're grateful for each other, but then three things that I'm grateful that I'm doing. And
and
that
grateful
was,
for
yeah, it was like
ourselves.
it was three gratitudes that were self-gratifying. So you can do those things that just help give a mindset. And
Mhm.
then that leads us to number two.
Yep. And number two is offering practical help.
Yep, because we have to be practical. I can't just be all hot, pie in the sky. It has
Yep.
to be like legit things. Like you've been very busy the last couple weeks with just nonstop client calls, and which is great and it's awesome. At the same time, that means as much as you love cooking, you need help cooking. And so
Hmm.
you came to me saying, "Hey, can I get help with cooking?" I am not the best chef in the world, but I can make a mean mac and cheese and I can cook something on the grill. So assisting with cooking is something that's small, but it's practical and it's helping. And that just that little thing goes a long way.
Yes. And really saying, okay, what does your week look like? What can I do, big or small, that is really practical support?
Mhm.
So can I just be aware of like your needs today? That's gonna like what do you need? Do you need some extra caffeine? Do you need me to read something and do a spell check for you? Can I send something to ChatGPT?
Yep.
That was something that you did recently for me that was amazing. I was kind of word vomiting on you a little bit of all the things on my plate. And while I was talking, you put a bunch of questions into chat
Hmm.
and was like, all right, here are four solutions to this thing that you just told me you needed you to solve. Could any of those help you? And how can I take on some of that?
Yep.
And you had a really busy day actually that day, but just doing that,
Hmm.
I was like, oh, that's a simple solution I hadn't thought of. I needed that second brain power
Hmm.
of just the listening ear. And that's our third advice is be a good listener.
We have to be good at communicating.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you have to listen to them because we have to be able to vent,
Yep.
brainstorm, talk through ideas without judgment. One of the biggest things I laugh about sometimes is you will stop me and you're like, all right, do you want me to uh, go on the war path for you
Am I
and take
supposed to, am
vengeance?
I supposed to be the bodyguard that comes after them, or am I just supposed to listen to this?
Yeah, are you listening? Do
Oh,
you want a solution? Or are you just talking at me? Like he's learned that he needs to get clarification of what I'm asking him to do
I'm a
after.
Viking, so I don't want to hurt. If you've hurt my wife in any way, I'm coming after you. Uh,
So if we can be good listeners to one
very good
another, and
listeners.
then also sometimes even listening deeper and saying, what are you not saying that you're really feeling? Or
But we did that even when we were talking, when you started wanted to do the podcast, because we've been talking about it for a year. A big reason why you delayed in doing it was because we went back and forth so many brainstorms about what you specifically wanted it to look like, what you were trying to do. And there's multiple nights where we're sitting there and you have everything ready to record, and we're like, nope, not right now. And it's just, we just got to keep talking it through. So instead of being judgmental about, hey, well, this is what I think, it's listening, taking the information. And sometimes just this will help you with your spouse. Sometimes just listening to your spouse, letting them say whatever they want to say, and then don't give an answer. Just listen
Mhm.
and then let them come up with the answer. Sometimes you want me to give you the answer, and sometimes you do not want me to give you an answer. You're not telling, sometimes you're not asking, you're not looking for John to be Mr. Fix It right now. It's just listen.
Yes, and honestly, because you're a safe place for me to be able
Mhm.
to just tell you all the things that are going on. It's just an opportunity for me to process
Right.
the weight of it that it is to be a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business owner, somebody who's serving people with sometimes some really hard things. And I just need a safe place to say, here's all the things that I'm feeling, and I just need to say it out loud.
Yep.
That's all I need.
Well, even when I was working in the fitness world, I would come home just so frustrated over some of the decisions that were being made above me in the corporate ladder. And it was totally opposite of what you were doing at the time, but you were just able to listen to it. And then instead of telling me, well, this is what you should do, it was, okay, well, what do you want to do about that right now? Do you need to go work out? Do you need to go, like, do you need, what is the answer that you're looking for that is practically can help you? And that sometimes is better than me actually getting the answer that I need, figuring out a way to maneuver around it, just communicating,
Yeah, and
talking through it.
sometimes just having somebody say that really sucks.
Yep, that
And
sucks.
I'm so sorry you're
Well,
going
how
through
many
that.
times I came home and you're like, "Do you need a steak right now?" I'm like, "Yes, I need a steak."
Offer protein.
Just protein,
Protein, caffeine,
protein, caffeine.
cocktails.
There we
That's our
go. Boom,
answer.
boom.
And then number four that we wrote down was really, it's really impactful and really important to respect the vision of your partner.
Yeah.
The thing that we have learned together, especially over the last 2 years, I think even more than ever before, is our visions can sometimes change and evolve,
Hmm.
and that's okay.
Yeah. Because we're changing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so
We're
even
evolving. We're getting better. We're
right.
not stagnant.
And when we don't understand fully the other person's vision, that's okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I have to make it fit what I think they should be,
Right.
or that we have to alternate to make it more palatable to what we were thinking in the first place, or that kind of, how does this work with my vision? Does his vision and my vision, now that they've changed and we're taking steps in a different way, how do
Hmm.
we realign them
Well, you and I,
without asking them to change?
yeah, well, you and I said that we are the team first.
Hmm.
We're the team. So when we first moved to Texas and I was working 67 hours a week in the corporate ladder, I was flying to California, I was going all over the place. You were at home most of it. You were doing the kids pick up, the kids drop off. That was your thing and you loved it, but you weren't able to do everything you wanted to do with your dream with the business. And then a couple of years ago, we kind of started, it shifted 50-50. I want to say. You did
Mhm.
some pickups, I did drop-offs. And then in the last year, now that I'm working from home and I'm helping you, and we're also doing real estate in the houses, it's much more I'm doing the drop-offs and the pickups, and you're the one that's traveling. And that's created a balance because these are we made conscious decisions to help with the balance, and that's number five.
Yeah. And that's helping each other maintain a
We have to have
balance.
the balance. I'm gonna to support your dream. We have to have balance, or we're gonna have burnout,
Yeah.
and that's the only way that works. So I need to make sure that you get enough rest. I mean, I went to the gym today. You did yoga today. Like these are the things that we have to do. Where I'm making sure you get your nuggets because you love chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A, and I need to make sure that I get enough protein so that I'm not honoring.
Yeah, and also I think being okay with giving permission to each other. I see you going into burnout. I
Yeah.
see you not holding your boundaries of how much time you're working in your business. And I think that's
Hmm.
one of the things that I'm early on in our marriage and in business that I didn't understand was the amount of overworking and lack of boundaries when
Right.
you first start your business. You just like try to, and especially when you have little kids,
Oh yeah.
you work in the margins.
Yeah.
So what ended up
We didn't.
happening was I was working late at
We
night
didn't have time
every night
ever.
though,
Yeah.
and
So I was
that took
gone.
away from you and me.
Yeah.
And so you were gone during the
Uh-huh.
day and I was with the kids during the day. Then at night, every night I had my laptop out and I was focused on that. And we were just two people passing each other.
Well, that was how I think a good way that we did that is because it was a very stressful time, but we planned it. So it was like I can remember you saying on the Mondays and the Wednesdays and the Thursdays, these are the nights that I have to do these calls late at night. So we just planned around like we knew, well, Tuesday night, that's the night where we're gonna literally just sit and veg. We're gonna
Mhm.
watch a movie together. We're gonna turn the phones off. We have a good rule now on the weekends where after Friday night we turn it off. It's like if you call my number, it's going to voicemail. Like, we're
Yeah, you
we're gonna
have
we're
to.
pausing. We're taking a break so that this is our time because we already have so much going on that we have to make sure that we have family time, us time, you know,
That's really important.
very important
And I will tell you, we break that boundary
all the time.
all the time
But we
with
communicate to
intention.
yeah, but it's explained.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, and if it's not explained, there's an explanation afterwards as to, hey, so this is what happened. So
Yes.
that it's understood. And again, that comes back to communication, coming back to respecting the vision, the dream, the plan, offering actual practical advice, and then being encouraging while you're doing it. If you follow that, that can help you get through those crazy weeks that we've had and that I've had that we're just like we're both pulling our hair out. I don't have any hair anymore, but I say we're pulling our hair out to get through it. And that's how you've been successful. It's how we've been successful. It's how we've gotten to where we're at now.
Yes. And the importance and thing that I will come back to over and over again is really keeping that high level of communication every single day, every week.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that I did last year that you and I did was we synced our calendars up so you had access to my work calendar so
Yeah.
you could see what I was doing because sometimes it's just like we don't know. I don't know what you did at the gym all day.
Right.
I knew you were working. I also knew you worked out. I also knew you got to talk to people, but it was like there's a lot of unknowns. And when you are working from home, I think sometimes the there's not a clarity of like, hey, even though I'm home, I'm actually doing a lot.
Right.
So being able to see and know that he understood and understands that during the week I'm busting my butt and
Hmm.
I really want to be intentional with my time. And he can also see, hey, it looks like your calendar is spilling over beyond what you originally said you were going to do. What's up with that? Are we going into a sprint mode, which is something we've also labeled recently? Is hey, there is a sprint happening right now where I'm going to be a little more intense with the business. I'm going to do a little bit more outside of the normal, but that's going to end.
Right.
And I have to also be committed to the to saying, okay, now that's done, and we're not going to do that again for several weeks because that's not our normal mode.
when that allow that if you have planned expectations and allowing those plans to be changed, that helps with the balance. That's everything that we've been doing. This is so important.
So important. So if you haven't talked to your spouse recently about what you're
Talk,
doing in your business,
talk,
it's time to sit down.
talk to them. Explain where it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because so much of what you and I have done, like when I was gone, so much. It was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm doing sales literally from 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. And it becomes very repetitive. So for me, I was fine with it, but it's very difficult to explain that. Like you said, like, what am I doing? You
Mhm.
have to be able to talk.
Yeah, and even if you don't understand everything that the
Yeah.
business is entailed, like sometimes I'll start talking and you're like, wait a minute, I don't know what you just said about lead
Context,
pages and
context.
landing pages and this sales thing. And like he's like, I don't know what that tool is. You just referenced like the other day I was talking about how I needed to switch over mailer light system and I need to do this, and this. And he's like, what is this for? Can you back up a little bit? Because I'm
Well, we
trying
both have been
to
making the joke to each other lately because we'll start mid sentence or mid paragraph. We start up, and then the other one will go back. You did this to me the other day. You were like, "Screenplay, John, screenplay." Like, explain where we are, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I got to back up 3 steps."
Yes.
But
And also I just come back to every time the more I can clearly communicate like here is what I'm attempting to do. This is
mhm,
my expectation. These are the timelines that I'm looking towards. This is a part of like that next level of business ownership that you want to step into. I mean, it's one thing to
yeah,
be throwing spaghetti at the wall when you're starting a hobby. When I first started business, I didn't even know what we could do. I didn't know what was possible.
yeah,
But as I grew and as I learned, I saw the clarity of, oh wow, what if we
mhm,
did this? And then I could come to him and share with him some of my business plans.
right,
Share with him, hey, if I show up this way, if I commit to doing these things, then we'll be able to make this kind of cash.
right.
And that was exciting to you. And
Yep.
now you're like, oh, well, then, yeah, of course, work a
Because
little bit late at night.
I'm the spreadsheet that's planted out guy, and you are the how does it feel, and and then that's perfect, and that's where we work together.
Yeah. So I'm all
So,
about the feelings
yep.
first. And
You're
then,
about vibes and feels, and yet that's what makes you so good at coaching because you can see through the lines. I'm very much I need the lines. I want the clear street lines
yes.
down the road.
Yeah, we're going to come talk about sales together in a little bit here, one of these episodes. And the difference in how we sell is very different, which is amazing. And it's a good thing because it gives many different perspectives. And both
Gives
of us
depth.
have learned from
Yep.
each other. And I want to bring that as the last thing is like you can learn from your spouse,
Hmm.
even if you two are very opposite, don't do the same thing. You can learn from each other.
Right.
And if you come at it with kindness and
Hmm.
love, and also ask them before you just push your advice on.
Yes. And let me give two things out there to the guys, spouses that are out there, whoever you're at. So there's two things that you can actually do, and I'm using the word actually because it's my daughter's word that Lani has taken for this podcast. You need to actually have like a dinner or a lunch that is a work lunch or dinner with your spouse. Sit, talk, but it needs to be work related. So you can go through calendars. You can do like we've done this is great. We do this at least two, 3 times a month where we'll go to lunch and it's normally on a Friday and it is a work lunch and we're talking through clients. We're talking through this. It's a catch up outside of just also working together. So it's a function where we're having fun, but in a work mode to do that. And then secondly, the other actually item you can do is you need to have just the spouse dinner where you're actually not talking work and you're talking dreams and vision and how cute she looks in her dress and those type of things. That needs to be two separate things that you actually do that can help you with supporting your spouse.
Yes, and I those times are really precious on my calendar to keep on the calendar and to
Yeah.
not
We don't cancel
compromise.
those
Yeah,
unless
because
we are dying and sick.
which we've had happen, but
Yes.
the conversations that we'll go to lunch and say, okay, we're going to talk about where are things at with the business, where do we see it next,
The
updating
budget,
the
the
calendars, the
plans.
budgets. That's a lot of details. But then I also need to have the times when we just go for the true date nights where
Right.
we get to be in love and, you know,
Yep.
have fun together. So It's
Because you're cute.
oh thanks.
Kind of like you.
Oh, like you
Yeah,
too.
been around you a long time.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I hope you guys are encouraged by this podcast and this episode
And how cheesy
because
we like each
we
other.
do. We're pretty cheesy. So,
Sorry.
but I will say it's a work in progress. We're not perfect, but
You are
we
perfect. I am the work in
oh
progress.
well,
Yeah.
but we've learned a lot of lessons along the way from 20 years of marriage and
Yeah.
23 years together and 15 years in business for me now. And it's always an education to learn as you grow. And truly, your team, even if your spouse never does anything in your business directly,
Hmm.
he's still on your team for growth, your
Right.
growth team. And that's really important to keep in mind as you grow because this is a long-term dream for the whole family.
Right. Well, because you're a
So,
team.
yeah, we are your team. So, try some of these practices. Again, I will say the number one thing I will encourage you if you've not done it is to implement a gratitude practice.
Yeah.
If you can together, but even by yourself in just sending those out to your significant other, your partner every day, saying, I'm grateful for these things about you and I see what you're doing. It is really powerful action and it helps set my tone and energy for the day of knowing that I have somebody at my back and somebody who wants to see me succeed even if I get crickets that day or I get a no on a sales call or whatever happens, I know at the end of the day, someone believes in me and it's game changer.
Yes. Hands down.
All right,
Go do it.
go and do it.
Go do
Actually
it.
do it. Go be grateful for your spouse. Go be grateful for your partner. Have those hard
Do
conversations.
it.
Get on the same page. Pass
Have a
this
work
on to
lunch.
somebody. Schedule that work
Have a
lunch.
date.
Yeah. And get on that vision board together. You're not going to regret it.
High five, team. Go.
And go. Thanks for actually joining us today. I hope it inspired you to actually take the action to step into the empowered CEO that you are and getting more of the results that you want. Before you go, I have a quick favor. Leave us a review and take a screenshot of this episode and share it with your friends and on your favorite social media channels. Don't forget to tag us, the podcast, and Lani J. Jackson. And we'll see you next week on another episode.